All right, good morning. Today is August 25th of 2022, and I just want to do a brief tour of my fig orchard, or what's coming along of my fig orchard. So here at the beginning, this is about, I think this first row is just their third year, and everything else is their second, first, or third year. So right here we have the Texas Everbearing Fig, which does not seem to be cold hardy. It has died back to the ground every year. Right here we have the Panache, which dies back to the ground every year, but comes back in at least one stalk. Usually I take a cutting. This year I'm not going to take cuttings of anything. I'm just going to let them grow and see how they do. I found last winter that if I didn't take a cutting, the plant was more likely to survive and not die back. So this one seems to be my most hardy of them. This is the white Marsai, and it did not die back this year. I didn't take any cuttings from it, and it has grown from where it's been. A lot of growth this year has been, I guess, stunted because of the heat. Nothing has really grown any for the last 2.5 months just because it's been so hot. I do water these once a day for 15 minutes. That's where I did have my black mission, or my black Madeira KK. I have in a pot now. I took a cutting from that one before it died completely, and it's in a pot. I'll show you that one in a little bit. And here is the Violette de Bordeaux. It grows to about this size every year and then dies back. So we'll see if it gets some more growth in the next month or two. Hopefully it does. That's when a lot of the growth happens, is in this next month or two. Here is my Smith. The Smith grows pretty quick. It does die back to the ground. It only died back to about 2 inches to the ground, so maybe it'll do better this year. I'll cover them with hay and see what happens. This is the white Cadota, and it gets about this big every year. Hasn't really done much. This is my black Mission. This one is pretty vigorous. It has died back about the same as the Smith, but it comes back with a ton more shoots every year. This, I believe, is the GE Neri. I thought I was going to lose it last year, but it has come back better and with more shoots this year, so it looks pretty good. This one, I believe, is the Olympian. I just put this in this year, this spring. This is doing fine. It didn't mind the heat too much. This is a green Ashia. It's 2 years old. It's doing fine. Looks pretty healthy. This is a black Madeira. This one doesn't start going until it gets pretty warm, and then it stops when it gets way too hot. So hopefully it'll do all right here in the fall. This, what is this? I think this is my Latarula Honey. Yeah, that's what it is. It's the Latarula Honey. It's doing all right. I got my asparagus blocking this one. That's a Beers Black, I believe. Yeah, it's a Beers Black. It's all right. This is a Celeste, which I didn't think it survived the winter, and I ended up cutting it down to the ground, but it probably did survive the winter, and it was just a late bloomer. This and the Italian Everbearing bloomed or sprouted the latest, and both of them I think survived the winter. This is the Preta. When I got it, had pretty bad fig mosaic virus. I cut it down the year I got it. It's 2 years old. I mean, you can still see there's rust on it, and the leaves don't look great on it, but it's a lot better than it was when I got it. Here's my Lsu Purple. Not sure if it likes our climate too much. It struggled a lot the first year, did much better this year, and so looks like it'll do all right. This is a yellow long neck. And this is the first year it's had decent growth. This is the Chicago Hardy, which in my climate is not very hardy. I don't know why. It doesn't like the heat, and it doesn't seem to like the cold either. But I will not take any cuttings from it this year and see what happens. This is an unknown variety I got from a house. I took a cutting from a house that I showed, but it does put out figs pretty decently. The mother plant was like 8 feet tall. And so this one put out figs last year and this year. So it'll be interesting to see if and when it survives the winter, how productive it becomes. This is my brown turkey. Last year had lots of figs on it late, but nothing on it this year. This was the Peter's honey, and it did not like the heat, and so I'm pretty sure it died. I don't see any growth on it. I'm pretty sure this one's dead. So, Peter's honey did not make it through the summer. This is the little ruby, and it's always been little. It grows well, but it doesn't do much. So, I believe this is its second year. So hopefully next year is when it'll run and jump and get out of the ground. This one is a 1.5 years old. This is my Desert King, or Dessert King, whatever you want to call it. But it should be all right. I just put it in last year before the winter. It did fine, came back. I didn't like the heat, but it's doing fine now. And then this one is, what is this? Letizia. This seemed to love the heat. This is the only one that did all right and looked good throughout the hundreds and without water. So pretty interested in seeing how that's gonna do. I just put this one in this spring, so it hasn't been in it a whole season yet, but it looks like it's going to do fine. So hopefully it handles the winter fine. And here is my Calderona. It does not like the heat. and it does not like the cold. But it's putting on some new growth. As soon as it dropped below the hundreds, it started putting on growth again. This is its second year, so again, third year hopefully is the charm. This one is Canandria. This one grows fine. It's on its second year, but no figs on it yet. This is, what is this? Oh, this is a blackjack. It had a fig on it last year, and it did all right in the winter. You can see all the growth. It is like 2 inches above the ground, so that's decent. And I put that in right before winter last year as well. And then this is Italian Everbearing. This one already produced and ripened figs on it. And they were decent. They were pretty good. On this side, I get shade from this big hackberry tree. So these two, the blackjack and the Italian Everbearing, they get the most shade, and they're probably doing the best. I'm gonna plant another tree over here to block the sun out during summers and see how they do with a little bit more shade, because right now they're really struggling in the sun. And over here I've had a Magnolia, and I've had 2 of them here, and both of them have died. So I don't know, Magnolias just don't like the weather here. It's either too hot and or too cold. I might try one more time just to see if I can get it to grow, just because I'd like to see it, what it is. But that's that for my main orchard, I guess. What is that? I have 4 rows of 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 figs. So that's my main part of the orchard. All right, here is my shed where I keep all the lawn tools and whatnot. And so I've got 2 mulch piles, one on each side of the entrance. On this side, I've got a black mission. This seems to do really well. I have a panache again from a cutting from the one in the orchard. And I put that in this year, and it's survived, so it should be fine for next year. And then I have a Smith that's been in here for 2 years, and it seems to be struggling. I do not really water too much over here, and I don't want to. I want to keep it as wild as I can over here. But I'm gonna plant a shade tree, either a mimosa or a willow over here, and hopefully that'll give these guys a little bit of shade so it's not as crazy hot as it has been. Okay, and over here on the side of the house, I have 2 figs, one in a pot, one in the ground. The one in the pot is Black Madeira KK, and you can see it does have figs on it, and these should all ripen. This one does pretty well. It gets shade in the evening and the morning. I think that's why it does well, because it's not in the heat for as long as the other ones. And this one has been in a pot. This is its 2nd full year, and this was from a cutting taken from the one in my orchard. So I need to take a cutting from it again and get it back in the orchard. I tried to air layer last year, it didn't work, but this one right here looks like, oh, there's a fig on there too. But this one right here looks like it'll be prime for an air layer. So I'm gonna try that coming here in the next month. And then down here, I have a Smith that I just put it in the ground. springtime, and it's doing fine. Really don't have to water it, and I think it'll do just fine this coming season. I think this hay, I put a hay bale back here, and I think all the moisture gets trapped in and under here, and that keeps this one watered. And again, this one gets shade in the morning. Right now it's 9 o'clock and it's still in the shade, and by like 5 or 6 it's in the shade again. So I'm finding that the ones that are in the shade and not in the full sun do much better than the ones that are baking all day. All right, and my last one is another white Marsai. I decided to put a cutting of one out here. This is the front yard with all my fruit trees. I believe under here was like a blacktop driveway maybe. And so there's not too much soil under here. I try not to water out here too much. I mean, as you can see, like the apple trees struggle. It's really hard on them this year. I have a comfrey just right there. There's comfrey. It almost died, but you can see it's sprouting up some green over there now. So the water out here isn't great. It's getting better with the roots amending the soil and the grass amending the soil. And there's about 6 inches of, what do you call it? Mulch all over here. But here's a white Marsai. I put it here because it seems to be the hardiest. I wanted to see if it was gonna grow. I put it in here last year. I thought it died, and then after the rains this spring it came back up. So yeah, you can see where it was last year where it died off. But here it is this year, and those things are pretty hardy, so I expect it, once it's established, that it should take off. But that's all my figs for the moment, for this year, for August of 2022. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks.